Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. It's time to talk about mothering in midlife. The little kid years are long behind us, and now we have high school, college, and young adult kids. Today we're going to share what we love about the stage of mothering we're in and what we miss about the stages that are no more. Let's get started. Listeners, we're coming up on Mother's Day this weekend, and we thought a special midlife mothering episode would be appropriate. We want to share what we love about this stage, midlife mothering, and what we miss about the previous stages, younger mothering. Mindy and Julie, I'm sure you've heard of the song, "You're Gonna Miss This."
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's a sad one.
It is.
When the kids were younger, though, it was like, really? Are you sure? Because I don't think so.
Right.
I think they played that song at my youngest son's graduation.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's mean.
A real tearjerker. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that song is guaranteed to bring tears to just about every mother's eyes.
Yes.
We're all there.
Now.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, I think as moms, we go through life thinking, I'm going to miss this, and kind of pre-mourning it. We forget that we're also really going to enjoy the new things that come. Like my daughter, she has a 1-year-old, and she's already so many times this year mourned Pepper passing out of a stage and like, oh, I don't want her. But then when she goes back and looks at how Pepper even looked a year ago, she's like, I don't even hardly know that baby anymore. This is the child that I know. And you're not as sad about it as you think. But I think as we're mothering, we're constantly like reminding ourselves like, oh, we're really going to miss this someday.
Yeah.
I remember
but it gets replaced by better things often.
It does. And then depending on what season you're in, like some of the things I'm like, please hurry up. I could do without the potty training. I'm like, can you hurry and learn already? Like
That's true. That's true.
I will say, though, that I'm so much further out than you guys that I remember things somewhat idealized or romanticized.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like when you get so far removed, even the
Mhm.
bad things seem good.
Yeah. I
Okay.
just don't ever want to potty train anyone again, teach them to swim, teach them to ride a 2-wheel bike, or teach them to drive. Like those four
Drive,
things
yeah.
are labor intensive and they're difficult.
They
Mhm.
are, and they grow in increasing difficulty. You know,
Mhm.
like teaching a kid to drive has ramifications, and you're sending them off. And I have 2 more to go, Marie. Like,
Mindy, 2 more.
2 more. We're moving to a smaller town, so I'm thinking that's going to be easier.
Yes. And Julie's sitting over there thinking, oh, I'm glad that at least 2 of my kids are off my insurance now. Like, I think we get to that point where like, we just don't want anything to do with it anymore.
Yeah, driving was probably my least favorite responsibility, teaching them to drive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's get down to it because I know that listeners, I know you're going to enjoy this because I'm sure a lot of the things that we are going to talk about today are things that you sort of miss, but then you also appreciate what has come into your life now in this stage. And if you're a younger listener, you can comfort yourself saying, oh, I'm worried I'm going to miss this. And you can learn from experience that yes, you will, but there are still great things to come.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I'm always looking at people, especially this time of year, graduation, that have empty nests. And I'm always looking and I'm always listening like, are they talking positively about that? Are they enjoying it? Give me hope. You know what I'm saying? Like my ears are naturally perked up when you're getting ready to go into a new stage. You want to know that it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's that you're going to be okay.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, who wants to start first with something that you love now, but you miss about then? Mindy, you want to lead us off?
Sure. I will start right in with cooking. Honestly, right now, I feel like I kind of want to be a short order cook. Like if my adult children are going to drop by, I better have something on hand because I do want to bribe them a little bit with food. Food brings us all together, but I do still have to cook dinner for the younger boys at night. So in some ways, I'm like, gosh, I wish I didn't have to make dinner every night. You know, like when Abby and Grant aren't here, if Jacob and Nathan weren't here, I wouldn't cook at all.
Right.
And so it's like I'm in this in-between stage. I'm thankful that they're not all little and all the dinner ends up on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And that they eat what I make. Like we're not doing any of that anymore. At the same time, it's like I actually want to spend time with them. So my purpose for cooking is to entice them to spend time with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is nice to not have to worry about what I cook. Like on any given night, 2 kids might have loved the meal, but one was going to hate it. Then that was just a lot of pressure that you could never get it to where everybody was going to like it. And now I don't care.
Right.
I mean, I could say we're having cereal and that's okay. Or we're just going to go out.
Yes.
So yes, the cooking thing is much, much better.
I am still not there because I still have a teenage boy in the house. He is going to college this fall, so I think my cooking will change a lot. But I found with both my boys, I had to cook every single night, and there had to be meat. And I feel like when it's just my girls here next year and Steve's traveling, I don't think they'll care that much if there's meat and if I made an actual real meal. And so I do think that that's a stage to look forward to that aspect of it, Mindy. You are so right.
Well, my last 2 are boys, Marie. So
oh, well, you're going to be cooking for a long time, Mindy. And you're going to be cooking meat.
Yes, it is. It's all about the protein.
It is.
Like, just drink the shake, okay?
I know.
Appetizer.
Yes.
I will say that cooking for 2 is not as easy as it sounds because everything's packaged for a family. Like I'll go buy the hamburger buns and think, no, I just can't buy 8 hamburger buns. I know we're going to eat 2 and the rest are going to get moldy.
Oh.
Or even a pound of hamburger. I don't need that much. So it makes it harder to want to cook.
Yeah, I mean, I never even thought about that. You might not use a whole pound of hamburger, Julie. That seems hard to imagine.
Yeah.
I know.
2 hamburgers are,
we're probably like 3 pounds minimum.
I know. Yeah. I buy those 3-pound packs at like Costco or Sam's, Oh, I guess I won't be buying those, in a couple of years then.
My goodness, send them my way.
All right, Julie. Well, what's something that you love about now, but you miss about then?
I love just being able to get to sleep. Sleep, I do really well. I sleep really well at night. And not having to have my bedtime determined by like when my kids are getting in. I still have one kid at home, but he's not a new driver. Like I'm not as concerned. But when they were young, I just did not go to sleep till they were back in the house.
Yeah.
And so that is very freeing to just let my bedtime be whenever I want to fall asleep. But on the other hand, what I do miss is those late night conversations when they did come in.
Right.
I think I've mentioned this before. We had a chair by our bed, and our middle son would always come in and knock on the door. And if we were still awake, which I always was, John was out. But he would sit in that chair and talk to us about his night. And we really looked forward to that. And sometimes it would be a midnight bowl of cereal together. And so I do miss that part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, the conversations late at night and interfering with your bedtime are something that at the time you're like, I don't know if I'm going to miss this, because it's always a conversation that oftentimes it's a conversation that leads you having a hard time getting back to sleep. It's like, oh, well, now I'm not going to be able to go to sleep after they go happily off to bed.
True.
Yeah, it's usually not a superficial thing. It's usually a little deeper level.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know. And it was like with adult children and children still at home, like you're up late with your adult child or children, but you're still getting up to do carpool in the morning or getting kids off to school. And so I felt like, how am I losing sleep again? And I've got older kids.
That is true.
You're right. The topics that come up at night, like you have to be awake and aware. And I'm like praying, like, Lord, this isn't just a little thing. Like this is a big thing.
Yes, yes.
How about you, Marie?
Well, one of the things that I miss that I knew I would miss, but maybe not, I wouldn't miss the quantity of it. But people do tell you that you will miss driving your kids all over the place. And you will miss hearing their friends talk because you can get a lot of information about what they're talking about in the back seat amongst each other. Like they really don't think that you can hear them, or maybe they think that you're not listening, but you are. You are listening.
You're listening.
Or I loved it when I would be driving places with my boys in particular, because they say that boys talk more when you're doing a side-by-side activity. And driving just naturally lends itself to that. So like the whole year from 15 to 16 where they were learning to drive and were in my car every chance they could get to practice, it was really fun because they talked more to me during that year than they probably had in their previous 15 years, just because we were both captive audiences to each other. And so, I really do miss just those opportunities for conversation. What I don't miss is like sometimes I would be in the car from 3:30 or 4 until 7 and just running one kid and then running another kid and then back home, get another kid. Like it was just running. And I don't miss trying to finagle a dinner in the midst of being gone from 4 to 7. How does one do that? Even if you try to utilize your crock pot or the timer on your oven, it just doesn't quite come off smoothly to where when you walk back in the door at 7, dinner's ready to be served. So I don't miss that aspect of it. I don't miss, having to be home by 3:30 every day so I can start those carpools. But I really do miss just the fun and the conversations in the car. You really do miss those.
Because sometimes that's the only time you have together. If they're gone or they're doing homework or off at sports, that's it. That's your golden opportunity.
And it also seems to be the only time they're willing to talk, because my boys that are at home are not interested in having a conversation, like you said, Marie, like face to face, you know. But I choose to drive them to school and pick them up from school. And Jacob works at Chick-fil-A, so he has work schedules where we're going back and forth. He is more excited and animated, like the faucet turns on for him when he gets in the car. And he just he's so interacting, and I'm hearing all about stuff, and you hear firsthand. But if they were to like ride a bus, or if he rode home with someone else, that period of time is gone. And he walks in the door, he's like, I'm ready to relax. Like I'm off. I'm done.
Yeah. He'd be back into shutdown mode.
And he actually noticed this. Okay. So this was interesting. He noticed this, that I really am intentional with my time with him in the car, especially going to and from work. I don't answer the phone. And the other day, Bryce called. And of course, Bryce is working in Georgia during the week. And so I was like, I need to answer the phone, even though I just picked up Jacob from work. And I answered the phone. And before I could say hello, Jacob goes, Dad, this is my time with Mom. And I was like, oh.
That's so good that he notices it.
Yeah.
He noticed that was an intentional time for me. He picked it up, and now it's intentional for him. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And he obviously values that time too.
I'm so thankful because he's almost 15. Like we're about to start learning to drive, and we're going into that season. I love the time with him in the car right now.
Yes, for sure. All right, Mindy, what is your next thing that you love about now, but you miss about then?
All right. Well, we are in a kind of an in-between spot right now, because there's a 4-year gap between my almost 19-year-old and my almost 15-year-old. And so sports games on the weekend and practice schedules through the week. So this kind of goes into your driving, Marie. But I was talking to a friend this morning who said, my boys' baseball season was so busy on the weekends, and it was so busy then through the year because we did travel. She said, we ended up selling our boat because we could never go out on it. She said it sat there and sat there and sat there. And I remember Bryce and I having conversations that we live so close to Gatlinburg and Knoxville, and the prime time to go see the trees and to go hiking is during football season.
Oh, yeah. So you never get to go.
We were like, the whole weekend is taken with games, and you're out on the sidelines. However, that is a sweet place to be. to watch your kid play a team sport, to be there when they win, to be there when they lose, to be on the sidelines, and you're connecting with the other parents and the families. Like you're all in it together. You have this one common thing that has taken over your life. You're all exhausted, but somehow like getting to the game is awful. Sitting at the game is amazing. And so, there are things we missed out on, like maybe adventures, but we can do those now, or we just go to Gatlinburg in the summer.
Right. When everyone else is there.
Actually, Gatlinburg, every time I go, it's busy. So heads up, Gatlinburg is a tourist destination all year long.
That's true. Yeah, no, that's really true, Mindy. And my uncle once told me that. He said that the thing he missed the most about raising his kids, he had 2 boys, that he and his wife missed the most was sitting out there on the weekends watching their games. Like his boys had long since, grown up, but he still missed that. And I do think that's such a small, it doesn't feel like it's a small period of time when you're in it, because if you have several kids, you might be in it for several years, but it really is a sweet spot. And we've actually gotten to the point now where my girls are 16 where they tell me, don't come to the game, Mom. Like, maybe they don't feel like enough parents are watching or it would be awkward. So sometimes your kids might get too old to want you to be there. So,
stop it.
Yeah. So anyways, it's just, appreciate the stage of the sports, even if, like you said, Mindy, it is crazy. Definitely. Julie, what is something that you miss about then, but you love about now?
Well, I love getting to drive a tiny car now.
And you do drive a tiny one.
Stop it. Us minivan moms over here.
Well, I love my tiny car, but I do miss, we've always had an SUV since we had the 3 kids. Multiple SUVs, I do miss the family road trips we had where we're all crammed in the car. The older 2 kids always had the 2 seats right behind the driver and passenger. And David was always in what we called the way back.
Yeah, the way back.
Yeah, he knew his place, Right. And today, if we all go somewhere first, David's like, I'm in the way back. That's just where I belong. He was used to it. But I remember just like the bickering because we would all be talking facing forward and David couldn't hear. So he would say, what was that? Or he would repeat something that we had just talked about. And the other kids were like, David, we just said that. And it's because he couldn't hear. And I've been back there. You can't hear. Right. So it was funny. And he would always have luggage piled up in the seat, on both sides of him. And we just have so many good road trip memories. So I do love my little car, but those were also very, very fun times.
They are. That's the next thing I wanted to share too, was that I miss vacations the way they used to be, where Mom picked a destination or Dad. We planned it. We just knew that they were free. We went, we had a good time. Now it is, I don't know, it would take like people that do the Middle East peace negotiations to figure out when is everybody free and could get off from work and could go with us. And do they want to go to this location? And will they be okay sharing a room with this person? Like it is a whole thing.
Yeah, you need a spreadsheet to figure it out.
I miss those days of vacationing where it was just the 7 of us and you didn't have to worry about all that extra stuff. On the other hand, when we vacationed with just the 7 of us, everybody was young and I had to do a lot more packing and a lot more planning for the meals and lugging everything everywhere you go. It is nice when you go on vacation with older kids and young adults. They pack themselves, they help you plan meals, they help you think of activities. It is more pleasant, Julie, riding in a car in a small space because they don't get as antsy and need so much constant entertainment. So, it's a trade-off. And when we go on vacation now, if everyone can't go, I do notice that you get to spend special time with the people that can go. And you might not have spent that time with them had you all been in a big group. So there are trade-offs.
Yeah, I do remember the very first year, because we went to the beach every year. the first time our son couldn't go because of a job. And it wasn't, I'm not talking career job, I'm talking summer job.
Right.
And I just went back and forth with, is it even worth it? Should he just go? But he had already had to ask off. I think he was new at the job and he'd already had to ask off for a week for church camp. So he just couldn't do it. And that was just really weird to not have one of our kids on vacation with us because he was still in high school.
Right.
But of course, now that's happened multiple times. But you're right, Marie. It's you just get that extra time with the ones that are there.
That was the next big thing on my list, Marie.
Oh, really?
Is vacations. It absolutely is because that's where we are entering that season. Abby's about to get married, so now there's a spouse. I've got 2 kids that are adult children trying to plan around their schedules. And so, yes, trying to go somewhere, picking a time that works for everyone. We're trying to figure out how, that's just a difficult season of incorporating everyone. And I would love to be able to have everyone at least once a year and trying to set my expectations low that it may not always happen. But also with having 2 boys at home, I want to make sure that we're still making memories with them and planning a vacation for them. So our plan right now, at least for this season, it will change again, but we will all have at least 3 days at the beach. Hopefully all of us, all 7 of us. And then every spring break will be our vacation with just our boys at home.
And that works.
So that's a good plan.
I think for now, I feel good about that. And I actually just booked us a cruise, the 4 of us, for the boys' spring break. And I think Abby and Grant are going to start being very jealous of our spring break plans.
Yes, your boys will love that time because we were able to do that with David, our youngest. He's gotten a lot of perks for being the youngest because he's gotten to go on a lot of trips.
Yes.
Which I'm sure the older ones were envious of, but we weren't just going to wait until we could all get together and never go anywhere. So I think that's a good plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Julie, what's something else that you love, but you miss?
Well, kind of along the travel or the vacation lines is I like that we aren't limited by a school schedule anymore, that you can just travel whenever you want. You don't have to wait for holidays, spring breaks, summer vacation. But I really miss back to school time.
That is a fun time.
Back to school time. And that was really hard when my kids were all graduated, because there's just not any distinction or contrast between the seasons. The year just kind of runs together. And that was really one of the hardest things to get used to that first summer, because summer just kind of lingers on into September and October then, because it's still hot here, and now might use our boat into September and October, but when school was going on, I don't know, that just didn't seem like anybody cared about doing that kind of stuff then. No, it's not summer anymore,
Right.
I really liked those distinctions, but now we don't have them. So in some ways it's freeing because you can just go with the weather, like whatever the weather allows you to do.
Right.
But I just really like those bookmarks on the seasons.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Great
I
routine.
Yeah.
Back to school time has always been my favorite time of the year, not only because it means that I have survived summer, but also because it is the chance for the freshest start. I mean, I like January too, but for moms, back to school is the fresh start. It's the whole new year. Your child has moved up a grade. You're probably experiencing a new level of freedom that you didn't have the year before because now they're older in some form or fashion, or you have another kid that went to school or whatever. Like, it's just a fun time of year. There's the new clothes, the new backpacks. Everything is new, and the whole year lies out before you.
I can honestly say, though, I will not miss back to school supplies shopping.
No. Or filling out forms.
Yes. Oh, amen. That can all go away, but I love the routine of a school year.
Yes, for sure. One thing I miss is family meals. And when you are in the trenches and you have, like at one time we had 2 kids in a high chair, one kid in a booster, 2 elementary school students, and you're trying to get meals out for everybody. And, there's 7 people that you're feeding, and you think, this is a lot of work. And wouldn't it be nice if I didn't have this level of work every single night? But I miss those days, you guys. Like last Friday, I thought that my 3 kids that live at home were going to be home for dinner. So I made a really good dinner, what I would consider a good dinner. It's not restaurant quality, but, I had Steve grilled chicken. Like I had a nice rice. I had vegetables. Like I had made a good meal and I couldn't wait for them to text me like they usually do after practice. What's for dinner? I'm going to be home in 5 minutes. And I was going to say, we grilled chicken. Like I had a plan.
Yeah.
And you guys, no one came home for dinner. Steve I had him make at least 20 pieces of chicken because I thought, well, Isaac's here. He's going to eat several and then we'll have him for tomorrow. Well, it was just Steve and I for dinner and we had to put all this chicken in the refrigerator for the next day. And then the next day, it's never quite as good. So I finally had to throw some of it away on Sunday.
Aww.
But it was just like, this is just so weird. Like at one time, all this stuff would have been eaten up in a flash. And now Steve and I are looking at all this food.
Oh,
Yep.
Marie. Oh my goodness.
So you do miss family dinner. You miss the hustle and bustle of it. If you are in that stage, really savor it. Even though, there were plenty of times where I looked around the table and thought, this is misery. Why are we doing this? People are fighting. Why do we even bother with family meal? No one likes the food. Yes, there is all of that, but you will still miss it.
Yeah, and the further you get out, you forget the bad parts.
Right.
It all just
Yes.
seems like Little House on the Prairie or or in Mayberry where everything was perfect. That's
Oh my
that's how
gosh.
you remember it.
Right.
I don't miss, we never did a great job of family meals. We were never that family that Bryce was never home at a consistent time. People were eating at different times, especially with the age gap in my children. Like the stages, just we weren't on the same schedule most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
However, I feel like that's my favorite thing when all of us get together now is it's not in the evenings, but the family meal that happens on the holiday or the birthday, or we just happen to all be together. So let's make a big meal together. And so even the prep is fun together to have your adult kids and your teenage kids there. And so I love family meals now. Marie, I can honestly say I don't miss it. Don't have fond memories looking back.
Well, one thing that's kind of unique to us right now, and I wanted to share it in case there's anyone local to Nashville. So Davis, my oldest son, has really gotten into cooking, kind of as like his side hobby that he enjoys. And a few months ago, he said to Abigail and I, his sister who's married, hey, if I made some meals on Sundays, would you guys pay me just the cost and then you deliver them? Well, I've kind of gotten in a good habit of him bringing my meals pre-prepared, like 3 meals on Sundays. And then it eliminates, one, me having to think of something to make or make it. 2, my other 3 that live at home, even if they don't particularly like that dish, they know that Davis made it and it's not me. Like they're not complaining at how I made it or why I picked it or why they're having, like, here's an example. They don't love lasagna. But if Davis made lasagna, I'm still going to serve it that week. And so it's not my fault that we're having lasagna. But yes. And so anyways, if you are in the Nashville area, I told him I would mention this because he's excited about this. Just as a hobby, he really enjoys making meals for people and he wants to try out his skills more. Like he just catered my daughter's prom dinner for like 20 people this past weekend. And one thing he would like to do is for $5 a meal per person and then a $5 delivery fee, he wants to deliver 2 or 3 meals to people and see, what it's like to, have people appreciate his cooking and, he could try new dishes and, he just is interested in that kind of a service. So if you're in the Nashville area, email me and I will pass on your information to him.
And
I've gotten a meal from Davis and it was good. So I can vouch for him.
Yes. Yes.
And way to go, Davis, being an entrepreneur. How exciting.
Right. Right. Yeah. So this is something, he's the kind of person that likes to have a hobby, likes to have something to fill his mind on his off hours. And this has been a good outlet for him.
Mm.
Yeah.
And for you.
Y'all, I just realized how much have we talked about food in this episode?
Food is a lot of life, you guys.
Yes.
All right, Mindy, well, what is your last thing that you miss but you love now?
Okay. Well, I'm just going to preface this with phones. Phones as a very broad topic. I loved when my kids got to where they could be entertained by an electronic device. Then I hated that my kids were entertained by an electronic device. Then they left the house, and I love that I can track my kids with an electronic device. And I'm telling you what, I've got two that I'm so thrilled that they have a phone, because most of our relationship is FaceTime and phone calls that don't live in my house. And then my boys that are at home, I'm like, get off your phone. Like, we're at dinner together. Put it down. Like, I want to see your face. I want to talk to you, And so there's just so many issues with phones when they're in your home. And I love that I don't have to worry about it when they leave my home. Not in that anymore. They actually make a active decision to call their mother, and they call their mother often. So I'm on the phone a lot.
Yeah. I mean, just not having to worry about screen time anymore is just a huge weight off of every modern mother's mind, because it doesn't matter what article you read, you will come away feeling guilty about that you're not doing enough to supervise their phone screen time, or they don't have enough access, or, they're missing out here, or they're way too involved there. Like, it's just, you can't hit a right note on it.
No.
Yes. And that was always a burden in summer, to make sure your kids weren't being lazy, or, you wanted them to be productive. There was such a burden on summer. Instead of just having fun, it was, are they reading enough? Are they doing enough chores? Are they on video games too long? Don't miss that at all.
No. I mean, you guys, I don't think I'll ever miss entertaining kids in summer. I don't know why. I'm just not that mom. Just not that summertime mom.
Right.
I mean, I don't mind taking them to the pool or signing them up for a camp or reading a book together, but like, I just cannot think of things for you to do all day long. And I really don't like all the chaos that is 24/7 in summer.
Yeah, there's no routine. I love Marie's like, I don't mind summer. What camp can I drop you at?
Maybe someday we'll do a podcast episode on what kind of mom you are. I am not a summertime mom.
You're not alone in that, though, Marie. You are not alone, because there was a season where I sounded like you were like completely stressed out, anticipating summer, dreading it coming, thinking, I'm such a bad mom. I'm dreading this. And then they get older. I'm like, oh, it's kind of nice. I don't have to get up to take them to school. So there's just seasons, you know?
There is. All right, Julie, what do you love about now, but you miss about then?
Well, I guess, I don't know if I love this now, but I don't know if I miss anything about it. I love that my house can be as clean as I want it to be. It's really all up to me,
Yeah.
If I clean it, it's going to stay that way. I don't miss all the sloppiness and messiness in their bedrooms and bathrooms. But on the other hand, it was hard when they first left to walk past that pristine bedroom, that untouched bedroom. I had to pretty much change the use of that room pretty quickly after they left. Make it a guest room or a craft room or something. Because it was just hard to look at, but the ability to clean and keep it clean is nice.
So it's not true what they say. Like, you hear, oh, you're going to miss those little fingerprints. Do you?
Who misses fingerprints?
I know, because I tell myself that every single time I look at my porch door and I want to scream. Right. Why are they not old enough to just touch the doorknob? Why is anyone touching the glass at this age?
Right. Yeah, I'll say now, I miss the fingers that made those prints.
Well, yeah.
That's really what you should say. But I don't miss the fingerprints. I don't miss the smudges and the dirt on the wall and the wet towels on the floor. No, who would miss that? But I was wondering why I miss the people that caused it.
I was wondering why the other day I have a face print of my almost 19-year-old son on the window. I'm like, why? Why?
I know.
You are 6'5". I should not see your face imprinted on the outside of my window.
Yeah, like my mom came over and cleaned my windows because she was wanting, something to do and help me out. And that's something that she could do, after her hip surgery. And then I noticed they were foggy one morning, and one of my children actually drew a smiley face in it.
Oh.
I thought, no. So actually, I guess I still have that.
So you didn't leave the smiley face, or you left the smiley face?
I did not leave the smiley face. It's like my mom worked hard.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I miss is, and this is just such a silly thing, but I miss dressing my girls up, like picking out their clothes, doing their hair, choosing their outfits, or even for boys, like choosing what they're going to wear for a picture and like picking the whole thing, or like buying them clothes. So you do miss that because you're in total like control. But then as they get older, it's like, no, I'm not wearing that. Or did you suggest I would wear that? Well, now I would never wear that. That's out. Like you go through that stage. Then they get a little bit older and they're like critiquing your clothing. Like,
oh, no.
Mom, you have got to get rid of that shirt. You have too many V-neck t-shirts, Mom. Come on. I mean, they critique your wardrobe so mercilessly that you feel like you can barely leave the house or shop on your own again. But then people that are listening, mothers that are listening, you do get to the point where you actually value their clothing advice. They help you pick things out. They do help you look nicer. And like they'll do your hair a new way and show you how to do it, or they'll show you how to do makeup or whatever. So you do end up getting to a stage that you really do like, but you had to leave behind the also fun stage of being the one in charge of the clothes.
Marie, when you first started that sentence, I thought, okay, the common theme here of everything we've spoken of is our control. We miss our control.
Yeah.
That's basically what it boils down to.
That's true.
Some of the things with the clothes, this is so funny. I used to dress my son Grant, the adult child. He's finally interested in looking nicer. He's never been interested in looking or dressing nicer. He just wore sporty clothes. And he FaceTimed me asking, like, helping him pick out his clothes from his apartment.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm like, this is great. We got to get you married off next. Like,
maybe he's met someone and he's tried to up his game, Mindy.
Yeah. Those are the phone calls. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's neat. Yeah. So you really do. You get to the point then where clothing can be fun again. It's like fun in the beginning, then it becomes a minefield, and then it becomes fun again.
Marie, I'm thinking you need to really have some thick skin.
You do. You do.
I have less girls than you, so my boys only say things like, "Mom, those are crazy workout pants." And I'm like, "Yeah, aren't they awesome?"
That's
like,
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Boys don't criticize. I can't really think of anything my boys have ever criticized my wearing, but my girls, yeah, I've heard it.
Uh-oh. I always think you look so nice. So
apparently
you do good.
Not, Mindy. Apparently not. All right. Well, as we wrap this up, I wanted to share something I was thinking about today. It kind of shows what we've kind of been talking about today, because we're kind of coming up on the end of a school year. And I remember I know you guys, I'm sure, can relate. When you got to the end of your oldest being in preschool, you probably thought, oh my goodness, how can I leave this stage behind? Like,
right.
Or really when your last one went to preschool was really how you felt it. Like, no more preschool, no more mommy and me luncheon in May. Like, there were so many fun things that you didn't want to let go. And then your kids go off to elementary school. And I had kids in elementary school for a long time, you guys. And I can remember when my last two finally left elementary school. We live so close to our school. I have to drive by it, very, very often. I thought, how will I ever be able to drive past this school without shedding a tear? Like, I'll really feel bad that my kids aren't here. You guys have never shed one tear over it. Never shed one tear. Because then they went off to middle school. And like, there's nothing that anyone misses about middle school. I don't look back on the middle school years with any kind of fondness. But now high school, it's graduation. I have someone graduating this year, and then my other two will graduate at the end of next year. And I think I'll miss the high school. I'll miss all the stuff around high school life. But I know now, having gone through the elementary school, I won't miss it to the point where I shed a tear. Like, there's always a new stage, and we think we're going to miss it. And we do look back on fondness. But our new stage generally is something exciting to go into. Have you guys found that?
Yeah, it's not like there's a void. It's getting filled with something new. So
That's
there's
it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true. I remember I really grieved when my oldest, Abby Ray, was graduating high school. I just thought things are never going to be the same. And it just was a really difficult year. And then I totally celebrated when it was my next child graduating because I've had so much fun with my adult Abby. And it just took some time to see that there were so many awesome things about the college years, that season of life. And now I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when Molly was graduating, I was really grieving that time. And because I had friends that did the marble jar, like they're pulling marbles out of this jar saying this is the last Saturday.
Oh, that's awful.
Or the last day at home. And it was just such a focusing on a finality and an ending when it really is a beginning. And so I learned with the other two that I couldn't think that way because it's just the start of something new. It's not an ending really that you want to focus on.
Right. So on Mother's Day, we hope that this episode is just something that kind of gets you thinking. If you feel like you're moving into a new stage and you're worried about leaving the old one, or you're in a stage you really love and you're like, I just want to stay here forever, you can listen to the three of us and know that there are good stages to come.
That's right. And if you're potty training, it will pass.
Hopefully quickly. All right, well, let's get to I'm a fan. And Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
Well, I'm a fan of trying something new and bold. Back, I guess at the first of the year, we had decided to replace our kitchen cabinet doors because they were 40 years old, I guess, the original ones. And this way we didn't have to redo a kitchen. We could just replace the doors and then I was going to paint them. And then, things changed with John's diagnosis and I thought I cannot be painting these cabinets. So I hired it done and I was just going to go with white to match our walls and maybe a green island because I love green. Well, at 10:30 at night, the night before the painters are coming, I see a picture on Instagram of this green kitchen. Like all the cabinets are green, dark green. And I absolutely loved it. So I sent the picture to my kids and I sent the picture to a designer friend of ours. And she goes, "Oh, you should totally do this. I love it. You've got to do this." And everybody I asked said, "Yes, do this." So I said, "Well, it's easy for you to say because you don't live here." I think they wanted to see the end result, But I called the painters the next morning. I said, "We have a little change here."
Yeah.
I'm going to go green everywhere. And they were actually excited about it too. So that's what I did. We have a green kitchen. And I thought, life is too short to not have a green kitchen.
Oh, Julie, I love it. I love it.
That's
yes.
amazing.
So I'll share some pictures this week because I am so happy I did it. I think I would have really been disappointed paying all that money for them just to be white not really much different than they were because they were white before. They were just had a glazing on them.
Right.
So, and not that I love white kitchens. I mean, there's plenty of white kitchens I love, but I just really wanted to have a wow factor and have it really different from what it was. So I got it.
Right.
Wow.
I'm
that. Impressed. And that's another bonus of older kids, adult children. They're all awake at 10:30 at night to ask them a question.
Yeah.
And they can give you good advice too. They actually can think about it in a good way and you feel confident that they have a good opinion.
Yeah, because actually when I said the island was going to be green and the cabinets were white, my oldest son said, "Mom, you should just do them all green." And I said, "No way. That is too risky." And so he was pretty proud that at the end he said, "Mom, who told you first to go green?"
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, love it.
All right. Well, we will definitely post pictures of that in our Instagram this week. Mindy, what are you a fan of?
Mine is not near as monumental or life-changing as Julie's project over there. But in honor of Mother's Day, for this episode, my mom and dad came to town. And y'all, it has been the sweetest trip. I think it was just ordained by the Lord for us to have this time together. And my mom and I got to go shopping yesterday, and we had a blast. And my mom will agree with this. I am typically the one giving fashion advice, and she asks me for, like, does this look good? Like, what about this fashion and things like that? So it was a surprise to me when we were in Old Navy, and she pointed out this long, I'm really into sweatshirts right now, pointed out this long sweatshirt tunic with like the side slits. And I was like, yeah, I've seen that. That's not really my style. I'm more of like a short cropped sweatshirt kind of girl, or it stops right at my waist. But my mom was like, Mindy, I will buy you one of these. I promise, like, you're going to love it. And I'm like, wow, my mom never loves a product. Like, she just doesn't. So I'm like, okay, well, definitely you can buy me a sweatshirt. I mean, I'm all for that. How often do we get to do that? I get home, I wore it all day yesterday. I'm wearing it today. I love this sweatshirt, Old Navy. Long tunic with the side slits. It has a little detail on the slit. Nice. And so it's just this light heather gray, and it's got like a piece of fabric on the slit. And I love little details. So there's just enough detail, and y'all, it looks so cute with my white tennis shoes. That's awesome. Because it's not too heavy and it's not too light, and it's really soft.
Oh, well, good for you, Mindy's mom.
Yay!
That's awesome. Well, I'm a fan this week of a makeup product, which, you guys, if you went back and listened to all 130 of our previous episodes, you would maybe I've recommended a makeup product once. I don't even know of that. And coming off a year of the pandemic, I've probably worn makeup 10 times. But Julie, you had recommended Thrive Cosmetics tubing mascara in a past episode. So I got on their website. I was hoping you could buy it locally, but Ulta had a little deal with them where you could buy it in store, but then they didn't. So you have to order off the website, and you had to pay for shipping. And I just didn't want to take a chance because I'm not a risky person, obviously. Julie's over there painting her kitchen green, and I'm over here. Should I take a risk on this mascara that I have to pay shipping for? I don't know.
You could probably return it.
So anyways, I instead looked up Thrive Cosmetics mascara dupes on Google, like ones that are kind of like imitation. And I was at Target in the makeup aisle, and I found this one. And it is called L'Oreal Double Extender Mascara. And it is a tubing mascara, which I had never tried before.
That's the key.
Yes. I'm terrible about getting under eye smudges. This it's not waterproof. I do actually have to put a little makeup remover on it to really get it off. But that's nice because I can't just smudge it during the day. So I really like it. It was, probably less than $10. I don't remember. But if you are looking for an imitation of the Thrive Cosmetics mascara, because you just want to try a tubing mascara, I'd never even really tried one. I wasn't even sure if I would like that kind of technology. This is a great one, L'Oreal Double Extend, and I will put a link in our show notes.
Okay, what does tubing mean?
It actually coats the hair. Like when you take it off at night, you feel it slipping off your eyelash as a coating. Yeah. And it comes off with water, but it doesn't smudge during the day. It's really weird. I can just rub warm water and it comes right off at night.
Wow. So maybe the more expensive version, Marie, will come off easier.
Maybe, but I was worried that I would have my usual smudging problems. I've never bought a mascara where I don't have the smudging problem. So it probably is the tubing technology.
Nice. I'm glad to know that. I'm going to give that a shot, especially since it's at Target.
Right. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for talking with me about what we miss and what we love now. In honor of Mother's Day, we want to wish all of our listeners Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, and Happy Mother's Day to you too.
Listeners, be sure and check out our Instagram this week. We will put pictures of Julie's green kitchen. We will put pictures that have to do with Mother's Day. Maybe we can put some funny memes. I feel like there's a lot you can put on Instagram during Mother's Day week. So come and find us at Midlife Matters Podcast. All right, Julie and Mindy, we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great. Bye.
We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.